Welcome to this 23rd day of Advent of Cyber 2023. First authentication relay all the way. Looks like we are going to either using some kind of faster hash or whatever. Anyway, yeah, seeing the thing NTLM here, definitely telling me that we will be using some kind of relay responder or other nice things that are occurring on the Windows environment or Active Directory environment. The basics of network file share, understanding NTLM authentication, how NTLM authentication coercion attacks work, how Responder works for authentication coercion attacks, and forcing authentication coercion using LN key files. So I started my box and we will be there will be another VM. Awesome. So today we will look into NTLM authentication and how threat actors can perform authentication coercion attacks by coercing authentication. Attackers can uncover sensitive information that can be used to gain access to pretty critical stuff, namely the NTLM hashes or other information that would then allow them to pivot and escalate. Sharing is caring. We tend to think of computer as isolated devices. This may be true to an extent, but the real power of computing comes into play when we connect to networks. This is where we can start to share resources in order to achieve some pretty awesome things. In corporate environment, networks and network-based resources are used frequently. For example, in network, there is no need for every user to have their own printer. Of course, you can have one or few, and then those employees will share the few printers. That's definitely something that is common in any organization. Another examples are file shares. So instead of having all employees keeping a copy of like an Excel sheet or whatever presentation, PowerPoint or whatever, and doing some version control every time, sending the emails and so on. Sometimes you use network file share where you basically have all the employees share the same folder, and this way, when someone modifies the files, it gets the new updated version for the others available. Administrator can then add security to the file share to ensure that only authenticated users can access them, but access controls will need to be applied to ensure employees can only access these folders and files, but also based on their job role, so authorization and also authentications, the whole OTC, OAuth-N. However, it's the same file share that can land an organization in hot water with red teamers. Usually, any employee has the ability to create a new network file share, and security controls are not often applied to the share, so allowing any authenticated user to access their contents. This can cause two issues. If a threat actors gain read access, they can look to exfiltrate sensitive information in file shares of large organizations. You can often find interesting things just lying around, like such as credentials, sensitive customer files, and so on. If the threat actors gain write access this time, they could also alter information stored in the share and potentially overriding critical files or staging other attacks like putting some malware in a patch or whatever. So thinking about the solar wind attack or supply chain and so on. So what happens if attackers are basically compromising the box that is supposed to supply all the patches and hotfixes? That's going to be a nightmare. In the 11th day, we learned about Active Directory and Kerberos authentication by using the robust and all these kind of things. All Active Directory users with permission will have access to, similar to what we saw on day 11. Kerberos authentication can be used to access these file shares. However, we'll be focusing on the other popular authentication protocol, NetTLM or NTLM authentication. That's literally an example of how NTLM is working. Username is requested to the server. Server asks for a challenge. The user solves the challenge. The server then challenge the domain controller, which also respond to that, and then some the actual response is provided to the user. One of the idea of the this hack today is making what if the server is not the one that gets the request in the first place. So once we have something on the network that will poison the 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 this flow, whatever request will be done is going to go through this application in the middle, and the whatever challenges and responses will be provided will be hijacked by the responder. So the protocols themselves rely on requests broadcasted on the local network, and the device itself that will be running responder will then receive them. And if for some reason that's the responder that will respond to this request and tell, okay, here's the host name that you're requesting, and because it will be a fake one, it will then tell it, okay, I know that one. Give me your credential. I will ask about it, the challenge and so on. So this way you will then be able to pull the different information that you would be needing to get like the hash or NTLM hash, and being able to just literally pass the hash to connect and use the credential, or just crack the hash itself to possibly get the actual password of the person. So unconventional coercion, like I said, if the password is pretty weak, we can crack it, or if the thing is not sufficient, we can relay the challenge and pass the hash basically. We have print spooler, which is an attack that coerces print spooler services on Windows hosts to authenticate to host on your choosing, and is similar but leverages the different issues to coerce authentication with the pass the hash kind of version. These cases, it's a machine account, the actual server or computer that performs the authentication on behalf of the users. Normally, machine account passwords are random and change every 30 days. Um, so the challenge cannot really be cracked easily. However, we can relay the authentication attempt, and the idea is that if you are able to compromise the domain controller, you can then just compromise the whole Active Directory, not just one server. Obviously, there are way more versions and way to exploit Active Directory, and there are rooms that allow us to do that. For the time being, I will start the attack box and go back to the code. So for this task, we'll focus a bit more on coercing users into authenticating to us. Since users often have weak password, with this approach, we have a much higher chance of cracking one of the challenges and gaining access as the user. Users are now mostly connecting to file share via VPN, so we can't simply run responder and hope for the best. So the question remains how we can coerce users to authenticate to something we control. Let's put it all together. If we have write access to network share that is used regularly, we can write a sneaky little file to coerce those users to authenticate to our server. We can do this by creating a file that, when viewed within the file browser, will coerce authentication automatically. There are many different file types that be used for this, but all work similarly, coercing authentication by requesting that an element such as the file icon is loaded from a remote location, and we will be using NTLM theft tool to create those documents. If you are not using the attack box, you will have to download the tooling first. On the attack box, you can find the tooling by running the following command. Okay. So the idea here is to put a file on the share, and just by being there, because the browser or the file browser will actually try to render the files in the layout that you want, usually having an icon. If the file itself is saying, okay, my icon is actually on that file share here with that name and so on, you are able to force without the knowledge or without even like intended the without having the user intending to do it, you can force the user to actually request that server for the icon or whatever, but it's not going to get the icon. The computer, the client, the user will try to authenticate to that server, and because we would have a responder running on that one, it will just like literally steal the NTLM challenge and hash. So link files looks to be the way to go. So I will just move to the room folder, and the IP is mine. So if config, so if I do Python NTLM theft with an ln key, with the source being my IP and a flag stealthy, we have generated a stealthy LNK. Okay, we know that MacGreedy is a little snoopy. So let's add the LNK files to our network share and hope he walks right into our trap. Use your favorite file editor. You can inspect the LNK file that we have created, and we will now add this file to the network share to course authentication. Connect to the network file share on LShare, and you can use a simple client to connect as shown below. So here we will be using we will be using we will be using KeyPass internet order. We Why not just do a cat? And we can see what we can see is, yeah, here we have 10, 10, 1, 18, 19 tools and c.ico and so on. So we are definitely pointing to our box. Okay, I will clear that and cd stealthy in order to be on the same folder. I will be connecting as guest to the elf share, and I will put the stealthy.lnk in it. It's there. Awesome. And now I will run responder -i ens5 to be the interface network, and the thing is running. So the box itself is probably having like a cron that will request that folder on a regular basis. So let's just give it a bit of time to have that bot go through the different things and trigger. I don't know if you saw that, but there is something interesting here. So maybe, yeah, copy, file, open tab, paste, and we will get greedy keys. Like, get greedy keys. Okay, looks like it's a password file. Okay, awesome. Oh, looks like it's connected while I was looking at the passwords. And we go, skipping previously captured, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we got our hash. Awesome. So what we will do now is we are going to take that thing, copy, and echo that thing into hash.txt, and John word list being greedy and hash.txt. Oh, we already have one. Obviously, the password is not that big. I can't read it because it's awful. But we have the password. Yay. So the login is administrator. And so obviously the password is that awful thing here. Greedy grabber one arrow at. Correlation with files is an incredible technique to have in your red team arsenal. Since conventional responders intercepts are no longer working, this is a great way to continue intercepting authentication challenges. Plus, it goes without even further using responder to poison requests such as LLMNR, which is the, we saw it earlier, link local multicast name resolution. So basically, hey, give me that box where that box is actually not existing, and it's going to be through a responder, causing user to receive access denied messages. Using LN key files for coercing authentication means that we are not actually poisoning legitimate network services, but creating brand new ones. This lowers the chance of new action being detected. Perfect. Responding to the questions. What is the name of the Active Directory Authentication Protocol? What is the name of the Active Directory Authentication Protocol that makes use of the NTLM hash? I want to say net NTLM. Yep. What is the name of the tool that can intercept these authentication challenges? Sorry. We just use it. It's responder. What is the password that MacReady set for the administrator account? Did I copy it? Copy. Save. What is the value of the flag that is placed on the administrator desktop? So here I don't want to, I don't want to RDP, but I will use evil winrm in order to connect to that box. So it's the dash I, oops, dash I for the IP, which is this one, and user is administrator, so dash U administrator, and the password is dash P, and that's the one here. Awful colors, by the way. Okay, it doesn't want to use that one. Okay, so I will use RGB instead. So, do we have Remina? Remi. Remote desktop, yes, plus quick connect server, go, that's not that one, tuk, 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 tuk. I want to connect to that IP. Remina, there we go. Okay, quick connect, that IP, administrator, and as a password I want the grabby gribby thingy, greedy mac, whatever, copy, paste, save and connect, cancel, accept, don't care. And so if I go to the desktop, there is a flag, and here we go. Okay, we did it. Thank you for your time, and see you tomorrow for Christmas. Bye bye. Take care. Have a nice day.